high intensity exercise versus low intensity exercise. Which one is best for fat loss? This is what we're going to be debunking today, and by the end of this video you'll be knowing which type of workouts in terms of intensity is going to be the best for your goals. I feel like this topic really needs to be addressed with some science backing it, since it's been very trendy lately to do different types of workouts than the typical weightlifting or the typical running, such as also Pilates or the Stairmaster has been gaining crazy popularity. Hello everyone, my name is Clementina. I do health and wellness fitness content here on YouTube. I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition sciences and a master's degree in food chemistry, and today we're going to be talking about the impact of workout intensity on fat loss. Firstly, I need to go over some theories which would make the review of the studies a lot easier. So if you not like to see that, the timestamps are in the description and you can just move on to the studies. This topic is highly important, especially in recent years, since obesity has been on the rise, and in 2022 it was found that over 2.5 billion people in the world are overweight and 890 million, so almost 900 million of them, are obese. Obesity is a successive accumulation of adipose tissue, of fatty tissue in the human body. And it has been linked to a variety of conditions such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, also insulin resistance, polycystic ovarian syndrome, really a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Insulin sensitivity, also known as prediabetes, has been affecting more and more people worldwide. I've heard in a podcast that more than 80% of Americans right now are affected by reduced insulin sensitivity. Obesity can impact insulin resistance in a way that your fatty tissue is not as functional anymore. That leads to the release of free fatty acids in the blood, and then they get deposited in places that they're not supposed to be, such as the liver, in the muscles, and also, most importantly, in your cardiovascular system, in the heart. This has a very negative impact on your glucose metabolism and impairs the proper function of insulin. Physical exercise has been found to be a very effective strategy for weight management. The World Health Organization actually recommends some, to me at least, crazy amounts of physical activity. I believe most people nowadays unfortunately do not meet that. If you're really not putting effort to work out at least 3 times a week, the World Health Organization recommends 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise, such as running, for instance. Moderate intensity would be something like cycling, for example. And for even greater health benefits, the World Health Organization recommends that you do 300 minutes, so double the amount of moderate intensity exercise per week. Those are 5 hours of exercise. And usually one workout that you do would be 1 hour, so you need to be working out 5 times a week or something. The other option is, again, 150 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise per week. Before I go into the studies, we're clarifying your maximum heart rate. We're going to be talking lots about heart rates in this episode. And your maximum heart rate, you can either use this table here, it uses an approximate value according to your age, or you can calculate it yourself just by multiplying your age by 0.7 and then subtracting the total from 208. This is your maximum heart rate right now. Now that we've covered all of this, we're moving on to the first study. This was done on college students with obesity in China that led a sedentary lifestyle. There were 2 groups here. The first group was with high intensity interval training, and the second group was with moderate intensity training, a continuous training over a longer period of time. I believe here the protocols were kind of extreme for the high intensity interval training. I've usually had this idea that these are supposed to be some kind of 50-second intervals, but what they did here is 3 minutes of warm-up for both workouts that I mentioned, and with the high intensity interval training, then they would get their heart rate up on the treadmill by increasing the speeds up to 85 to 90% of their heart rate maximum, and then they would have to hold that for 4 minutes. After that, they would lower the speed of the treadmill to get their heart rate somewhere between 50-60% of their heart rate maximum, and do that for another 3 minutes, some kind of an active rest period. They would repeat that cycle 4 times, and the total time of the workout was 28 minutes. For the moderate intensity continuous training, they had the same warm-up, and then they increased the speeds for the participants to get their between 60 and 70% of their heart rate max, and then they did that for 35 minutes. They worked out at that speed. Therefore, the training duration was 35 minutes, excluding the warm-up. They concluded these tests for 8 weeks, and after 8 weeks, it was found that the group who were doing the HIIT workouts lost significantly higher amounts of body fats, and also, more importantly, visceral fat. This is the abdominal fat that's around your organs. Women that did the HIIT workouts lost even more body fat. They lost 28% more compared to the moderate intensity continuous training group, and with men, they lost 14% more than the moderate intensity continuous training group. The reason as to why women lost more remains unclear. The researchers did not clarify that. They only stated that the women lost more body fat. By the way, I'll be linking all of the studies in the description as usual. One of the possible explanations that the researchers suggested for the overall findings that the HIIT group lost more body fat is the post-exercise excessive oxygen consumption that occurs after HIIT training. So your body keeps on utilizing more oxygen even after you've stopped working out, and the primary source of energy for this continuous utilization are the fat deposits. Another hypothesis of the researchers are the increased release of the growth hormone, which could result in a higher lipid oxidation after the workout. Another hypothesis includes the increased metabolic flexibility when performing HIIT workouts. Metabolic flexibility, what I mean by that term is that after you've completed a HIIT workout, the carbohydrate reserves, the glycogen reserves in your muscles are depleted. There's not a lot of energy left in them because your body usually doesn't store that much carbohydrates. Its preferred form of energy storage is fat. The body tries to recover those reserves in the muscles. They're just maximum of a few hundred grams of carbohydrates, what's in your muscles. And your body tries to restore it by utilizing the fat that you already have. So your body converts it to carbohydrates to restore the glycogen reserves. This flexibility could result in a better metabolic adaptation and a higher utilization of the fats that you have. And this process that I just explained is actually very beneficial for lowering the overall levels of triglycerides and cholesterol levels in your blood so that they stay lower, and that would definitely lead to an improvement in your insulin sensitivity. A second study compared the effects of low intensity, moderate intensity, and then high intensity workouts. The findings were that, again, the moderate intensity and the high intensity workout groups lost significantly more weight and body fat than the low intensity group. Just as an example, because we didn't have a low intensity group before that, a low intensity workout in terms of heart rate usually would be even like bodyweight exercises if they're done in the lower rep range, or also weight training could be that, or Pilates or something like this. This makes perfect sense since they were not trying to have the same caloric deficits. What I mean by that is that they were not burning the same amount of calories in this study. Therefore, it is only logical that the groups that performed workouts of a higher intensity would then lose more weight and more fat. They also lost significantly more of this abdominal fat that is detrimental to your health and more specifically your heart health. And again, the high intensity workouts group lost the largest amount of visceral fat. Researchers found this quite surprising, again, due to the popular belief that low intensity workouts should result in more fat burning. A third study again investigated the differences between moderate intensity continuous training and high intensity interval training, and they found the same thing. Again, that both groups led to a reduction in the overall body fat percentage. They also measured this time the waist circumference, so like the what is your waist measurement in centimeters. Although they lost some significant amounts of body fat in terms of percentages, the participants did not lose a lot of weight because their nutritional intake was not controlled. So they were not following a specific diet protocol. No positive impacts were found on fat-free mass, so the muscle mass, to be more clear, and it remains that resistance training would be more beneficial for one to maintain or increase the fat-free mass. I briefly want also to mention one opinion. Again, this is not a study, this is an opinion of a scientist that I stumbled upon, which was very interesting because it contradicts the first study that noted that women lost more body fat than the men while doing high-intensity interval training. According to some studies, the women would benefit more in terms of reducing the risk for cardiovascular disease when performing low to moderate intensity exercises compared to men, and men would benefit more doing more vigorous workouts than women and see better results, which he explained with men having higher lung capacities and red blood cell counts, lower heart rates, and so on. However, again, this is only an opinion, but I found it quite interesting that women could be benefiting more according to some research from low to moderate intensity workouts. Another argument that he made is that women have larger percentages of body fat genetically. For low to moderate intensity workouts, mainly fatty acids are used as a source of energy. I believe that exercise is also even more important for adults that are of advanced age. One study was done on people between 58 and 66 years old. They were subjected to 3 different workout regimens: combined resistance training and cardio training, only cardio training, and only resistance training. Idea behind the study was to find which group would have the greater benefit in terms of reducing their risk of cardiovascular disease, and that was actually the combined training group, which was actually surprising. It was first thought that that would be the group that was only doing cardio. This is actually very positive because a combined training regime would positively also impact the muscle mass retention and also the retention of bone density for older individuals. So if they are subjected to such a regime, they could really experience cumulative benefits from these types of workouts. On the final notes, differences between the different types of workouts, so moderate intensity, high intensity interval training, were not that large and would not have that much of a great impact in the long run. If you just feel like you cannot perform high intensity interval training, you do not have to do that at 100% to achieve weight loss and fat reduction. You have to do a workout that you can actually stick to. High intensity interval training is also not suitable always for beginners. I have somewhat of a negative experience with it. I used to do sprints, but last year I was doing sprints on a day that I was not feeling particularly well. I had not slept well, was generally more tired in those weeks, which led to me tearing a muscle in my leg, which put me out of the gym for 2 weeks. I could not properly run again for months without experiencing pains in my knee. Therefore, you might as well stick to a workout that you can effectively perform and that would not increase your risk of injury. The key to achieving weight and fat loss is to work smarter, not essentially harder. This is why some of the researchers in fourth studies just suggest that you could focus more on caloric restriction and adjust your workout to something that you're more likely to adhere to, and that would also lead to an effective weight loss strategy. Low impact workouts also have great health benefits, especially resistance training when talking about bone density and also muscle mass retention and increase in muscle mass, because the more muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolism is, so you require more energy and you can eat more to stay at maintenance. You're going to be metabolically healthy for a much longer time than your peers that are not doing resistance training. It is very crucial to incorporate this in some way or form into your workout regime. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you learned something today, and remember to keep your body moving, and not that important if one workout is better than the other by 10 or 15%. The most crucial thing is that you actually stick to it and that you find some enjoyment while doing that. Let me know if you want to do a specific topic next. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.